Madison, the vibrant capital of Wisconsin, stands proudly as the state's political and cultural heart. With a population of over 269,000 as of the 2020 census, Madison is the second-largest city in Wisconsin and anchors a metropolitan area of more than 700,000 residents. What makes Madison truly unique is its geography. Its downtown rests beautifully on an isthmus between Lakes Mendota and Monona, while Lake Wingra adds even more scenic charm to the city's landscape. Founded in 1836 and named after the fourth U.S. President, James Madison, the city has always carried a spirit of history, intellect, and innovation. As the capital of Wisconsin, Madison is home to the majestic Wisconsin State Capitol, a symbol of democracy and local pride. But it's not just a center of government, it's also a hub of learning and progress. The University of Wisconsin in Madison, one of the nation's most respected public universities, calls this city home. Its influence extends far beyond the classroom, shaping Madison's identity as a center for research, culture, and youthful energy. Economically, Madison thrives with a blend of public and private sectors. Major companies such as American Family Insurance and Trustage Financial Group have deep roots in the city, providing jobs and stability. Tourism, too, plays a significant role, drawing visitors from all over with Madison's lakes, green spaces, and artistic spirit. In 2018 alone, tourism brought in over $1 billion, helping the city flourish while sharing its beauty with the world. Madison's cultural life is rich and diverse. Locals and visitors alike enjoy the Chazen Museum of Art, the family-friendly Henry Vilas Zoo, the serene Olbrich Botanical Gardens, and the stunning performances at the Overture Center for the Arts. Each of these places reflects Madison's deep appreciation for art, nature, and community. Native American roots. Long before Madison became a capital city, it was home to Native American peoples for thousands of years. Archaeological evidence shows human habitation in the region for about 12,000 years. The Ho-Chunk Nation, one of the area's earliest and most enduring tribes, called this land Tijab, meaning the land of the four lakes, referring to Mendota, Monona, Wabessa, and Kegonsa. Around these lakes once stood numerous effigy mounds, built over 1,000 years ago for ceremonial and burial purposes. These sacred earthworks, shaped like animals and spirits, reveal the deep spiritual and cultural connections early inhabitants had with the land. Even today, several of these mounds still exist, offering a glimpse into Wisconsin's ancient past. Archaeologists have also uncovered dugout canoes near smaller lakes and rivers in the area, remarkable discoveries that continue to shed light on the daily lives and craftsmanship of the region's first peoples. These findings remind us that Madison's story didn't begin in 1836. It began long before with the Native Americans who first called this land home. From ancient mounds to modern marvels, the history of Madison, Wisconsin, is a story of continuity and change, a place where nature, culture, and progress have always met in harmony. Founding of Madison, Wisconsin. The story of Madison's founding begins in 1829, when James Duane Doty, a former federal judge and land speculator, purchased more than 1,000 acres of swamp and forest on the narrow isthmus between Lakes Mendota and Monona. Doty envisioned building a grand city in this scenic Four Lakes region and paid just $1,500 for the land, an incredible bargain even for the time. When the Wisconsin Territory was created in 1836, the first territorial legislature met in Belmont, Wisconsin, to choose a permanent capital. Doty saw his opportunity. Determined to make his dream city the new capital, he lobbied tirelessly and creatively, offering buffalo robes to cold legislators and discounted plots of land to anyone still undecided. His persuasion worked. Doty had surveyor James Slaughter draw up two city plans, one for Madison and another for the city of Four Lakes, near what is now Middleton. He named his main city after James Madison, the fourth President of the United States, who had passed away just months earlier in June 1836. To honor the Founding Fathers, Doty also named Madison streets after the 39 signers of the U.S. Constitution. Though the city existed only on paper, the legislature voted on November 28, 1836, to make Madison the capital of the Wisconsin Territory. The choice made perfect sense geographically. Madison sat halfway between the new and growing port cities like Milwaukee in the east and the long-established trading post of Prairie du Chien in the west. It also connected the busy lead mining regions of the southwest with Green Bay and other settlements in the northeast. This central location, combined with Doty's vision, secured Madison's place as the heart of Wisconsin. Expansion and early growth. The foundations of government took shape quickly. The cornerstone of the first Wisconsin state capitol was laid in 1837, mayor's office. Madison grew steadily. It was incorporated as a village in 1846 with just 626 residents. When Wisconsin achieved statehood in 1848, Madison remained the capital, and in 1849 it became home to the University of Wisconsin, now known as the University of Wisconsin-Madison. The arrival of the Milwaukee and Mississippi Railroad in 1854 connected Madison to wider markets and spurred its economic development. 2 years later, in 1856, Madison officially became a city with a population of nearly 7,000, while the surrounding unincorporated areas became known as the town of Madison. Over time, the state capital evolved along with the city. The original building was replaced in 1863, and after a devastating fire destroyed the second capitol in 1904, the current magnificent Wisconsin State Capitol was constructed between 1906 and 1917, the iconic structure that still defines Madison's skyline today. Madison during the Civil War. The Civil War left a strong imprint on Madison's early history. The city served as a key Union Army hub in Wisconsin. One landmark, Union Corners, located at the intersection of Milwaukee, East Washington, Winnebago, and North Streets, earned its name because it was the final stop for Union soldiers before departing for battle. To the west, Camp Randall became one of Madison's most important Civil War sites. Built as a military training camp, it also served as a hospital and a prison for captured Confederate soldiers. After the war, the land became part of the University of Wisconsin campus. In 1917, Camp Randall Stadium was built on the site, symbolizing how Madison transformed its military past into a legacy of education and community. For nearly a century afterward, remnants of military training continued at Camp Randall, including an ROTC firing range. In 2004, the last trace of that history was removed during stadium renovations, closing one chapter of Madison's long connection to the nation's military service. From its ambitious founding in the 1830s to its role in the Civil War, Madison, Wisconsin, grew from a paper city into a thriving capital defined by resilience, progress, and pride, a city that continues to honor its history while shaping the future of the state. Madison in the 1960s and 1970s. The 1960s and 1970s were a defining era in Madison, Wisconsin history, as the city became a major center of counterculture and political activism. The heart of this movement was the Mifflin-Bassett Street neighborhood, affectionately known as Miffland. This lively area was home to students, artists, and young people who embraced the era's spirit of rebellion and social change. The streets were lined with colorful murals, old three-story apartment buildings, and local co-ops like the Mifflin Street Co-op, a community-run grocery store that symbolized cooperation and independence. But Miffland was also a flashpoint for conflict. Many residents frequently clashed with local authorities, especially under Republican Mayor Bill Dyke, who became a symbol of opposition to student-led anti-war movements. His efforts to restrict protests only fueled more unrest. The Mifflin Street Block Party, originally a political protest against the Vietnam War, quickly evolved into a symbol of resistance, and later, by the late 1970s, into a beloved local tradition and community celebration. Across the University of Wisconsin-Madison campus, thousands of students joined demonstrations that reflected the turbulent political climate of the nation. Some of these protests turned violent and drew national attention. In 1967, students staged a massive protest against the Dow Chemical Company, known for producing napalm used in Vietnam. Police intervention left 74 people injured and made headlines across the country. In 1969, students organized a strike demanding greater rights and representation for African American students and faculty. The protest grew so intense that the Wisconsin Army National Guard was called in to restore order. The unrest reached its tragic peak in 1970, when a firebomb destroyed the Army ROTC headquarters inside the University of Wisconsin's Armory and Gymnasium. Later that same year, activists targeted the Army Mathematics Research Center in what became known as the Sterling Hall bombing. The explosion caused massive destruction not only to Sterling Hall but also to nearby buildings, and it took the life of physics researcher Robert Fasnacht, an innocent bystander working late that night. These events left a deep scar on the city and became a lasting part of Madison's identity. The story of those years was later told in the 1979 documentary, The War at Home, which chronicled how anti-war protests transformed the city. The 2004 book, They Marched into Sunlight by Pulitzer Prize-winning author David Moranis also intertwined Madison's protest with the broader Vietnam War narrative. Author Tom Bates, in his book Rats, vividly captured the atmosphere of those chaotic days, describing how Mayor Dyke's attempt to shut down the Mifflin Street student activist and city alderman at the time, who would later be elected mayor of Madison multiple times, turning from protest leader to city leader. The activism and turmoil of the 1960s and 1970s helped shape the city's progressive identity. Madison emerged from this era not only as Wisconsin's capital but also as a symbol of free speech, social awareness, and civic engagement, values that still define it today. Madison in the 21st century. The 21st century opened a new chapter in Madison, Wisconsin history, one marked by both political passion and community resilience. In early 2011, Madison once again became the center of national attention when tens of thousands of protesters filled the streets and the Wisconsin state capitol. The demonstrations were sparked by a controversial bill introduced by Governor Scott Walker, which sought to eliminate most collective bargaining rights for public sector unions. The movement quickly grew into one of the largest labor protests in modern U.S. history. Over the course of several months, crowds ranging from 10,000 to more than 100,000 people gathered peacefully at the Capitol to voice their opposition. The protests highlighted Madison's long tradition of civic engagement and reaffirmed its reputation as a city deeply connected to political activism and social justice. In October 2022, Madison expanded its city limits by annexing most of the remaining town of Madison, marking a significant milestone in the city's ongoing growth and urban development. This move unified much of the greater Madison area, bringing together communities that had been divided for more than a century. However, not all of Madison's recent history has been marked by progress. On December 16, 2024, tragedy struck when a school shooting occurred at Abundant Life Christian School on the city's east side. The heartbreaking event resulted in 3 deaths and 6 injuries, leaving the Madison community in mourning. In the aftermath, residents came together to grieve, support victims' families, and renew conversations about safety, mental health, and unity. Through every triumph and tragedy, Madison, Wisconsin continues to evolve, a city where history, activism, and community spirit intersect. From its Native American roots to its role in modern American politics, Madison remains a powerful reflection of the nation's ongoing story. If you enjoyed exploring the history of Madison, Wisconsin, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss another deep dive into the past. Join us next time on History Love, where we uncover more incredible stories that shaped our world. One city, one era, and one moment at a time.